How are addiction and incarceration connected? Well, in one respect, it's like, duh.
Yes,
It's like a,
exactly.
it's a, like a, huh? But I think what Nikki and I are more interested in talking about are what's underneath that, what's underneath addiction, and what's underneath incarceration.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That it's multi-layered. There's such layers of depth with this whole thing. And if we're really going to have this conversation, that the conversation is around root, right? That addiction and incarceration are manifestations, right? And of course, we address the manifestations. Of course, we address that. But if we're really about healing, then we got to also come at root.
Yeah. Yeah. When I really sink into it from a layperson's point of view, I think about addiction and substance abuse as an attempt to deal with the pain, to deal with the suffering and pain that I or someone else is experiencing. And I see it not only before incarceration, that that the origins of substance abuse and addiction came from dealing with the pain of life, and then carried on through a certain one of the manifestations of that I have seen is unconscious behavior, that addictive tendencies and the use of substances numbs a person to a sense of really deeply feeling and being awake and aware in any given moment. And then that leads to behavior and activities that are harmful behaviors and
Exactly.
activities.
Exactly. It's kind of like the way that I always love to, at some level, there is, of course, nature and nurture aspects to any of this. They're both, right? And including things that may have been passed on intergenerationally, things that come as a part of a dysfunctional and broken culture and many systems, healthcare, criminal justice, all of those things as a result of this. And ultimately, for me, it's addiction is the disease of the lost self. We lose ourselves. And then I start looking outside of myself for something that can only come from the inside. And then when that happens, I'm influenced by all kinds of things in all kinds of ways, a lot of times, which end up being very harmful.
Yeah, again, looking at the origins, there's the ACE study,
Yeah,
adverse
the
childhood
aces.
experiences,
Yeah, yeah.
and one of the ACEs is did you experience or were you exposed to substance abuse, in your childhood, and the commonality of people who are incarcerated who grew up in families where they were exposed to substance abuse. And it was like, well, it's normal. This is how you deal with life. This is how you deal with, once again, going back to, this is how you deal with the suffering that you experience in life. And from a societal standpoint, looking at it from what's society doing to address these issues? Why is it that people turn to self-medication rather than being provided the necessary health care to deal with the pain and suffering of their lives? And so once again, it's like you were saying, it's like, peeling back the layers, 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 hoping to get back down to the foundation.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. I find so many people, and for me, this is a cultural thing, right? And I love this, even this piece of the conversation, because I think that there's something everyone can have a piece in doing about this. I think that it's an awareness for all. We have a culture who values relief over resolve, right? It's like, how can I get this quick? It hurts. So let me just go get this real quick because that's going to relieve it, right? Rather than going deeply and really, as we say, feeling our feelings
Yep.
for real, right? So that they can move. Yeah.
Aren't you the one the issues are in the
The
tissues?
issues live in our tissues.
Yeah, for
Yep,
sure. For sure.
absolutely.
Yeah, and again, it points to, the Western healthcare system of you've got an issue, let me take away the symptoms.
That's
Here's a drug. And even types of therapy are, they address the symptoms rather than really going to the root causes. So here it is again, showing up around, in my understanding, showing up around addiction.
And then there are all the other complications the other systems that we know. I know you well know what goes on in the criminal justice system. And like you said, so many people are introduced to the criminal justice systems, many through policy and law that applied 10 years ago that don't even apply
Absolutely.
now. And so
Absolutely.
there's so many layers.
Absolutely. There are actually, I was just talking to Rob about this last night. There are actually some people in the United States that are still doing life in prison for marijuana possession
Right.
in certain states where the laws have not changed yet. And the other thing about incarceration and addiction, it's a fact that 65% of people who are incarcerated basically meet the DSM for substance abuse or addiction. And the other thing is that one of the things that I've recognized over the years for people who are struggling with different kinds of addiction is the resolve that they must have because so much is available while they're incarcerated. And so the resolve to actually overcome. And once again, that has everything to do with going back into those original issues that led to the substance abuse.
That's right.
And typically what we experience in that journey, and it might also be very true of the work that you do in the beginning, is I don't want to go there. You're asking me to dip back into this fundamental pain that I left behind. I mean, I just want to be away from that. And recovering means
Yeah.
going back in
That's
there,
right.
right?
That's right.
Yeah.
And for me, that's part of the beauty of bringing yoga and yoga practices into this healing, right? Yoga and yoga practices really are about building that resilience. It's about capacity building. It's about the ability to hold even the challenges, even the things that don't feel good in the moment, right? And so that, for me, is just such a big plus about bringing this whole domain of yoga into these healing environments.
Yeah, and I'd like to add to that is that sort of the beginning steps are that yoga offers the opportunity to become more sensitive
Yes.
to oneself, so that armoring of like, I don't want to go there. It's like, no, let's just take a breath. Let's just take this movement and see what it feels like. And it offers this opportunity to begin that relationship, maybe to renew, maybe it's never been there before.
Yes.
That relationship with self.
With self.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How
Yeah.
beautiful. Thank you.